Hi guys, welcome to The Human Machine. So today we have with us Sunny Kwan, founder and CEO of Publish. How about you start with like a summary of your background and how you ultimately got into the Web3 space?
My name is Sunny Kwan. I am currently founder and CEO of Publish Protocol and Token Post. Token Post is the oldest. We started in February 2017 in Korea, and also currently the most visited blockchain cryptocurrency media in South Korea, with just over 1 million monthly users. About Publish, we started a project incubated by Token Post back in 2018. Publish, we are trying to build a Web3 based decentralized news ecosystem and decentralized applications to help newspapers integrate our new system or blockchain to existing legacy systems that they have. So in 2017, fast forward, I learned about blockchain and I started Token Post. And one of the things that gave me a big impression was a project called Steemit. Steemit, there it incentivized good contents, good writers with cryptocurrency on their own, which was called Steemit. It's still called Steemit. It was an open social platform where anyone could write, copy, paste. So literally there was no gatekeeping for copyrighted materials. And also it had its own unique delegated proof of stake model, DPoS, which was new at the time, which gave more rewards for contents that got more votes from users, especially with more coins, more Steemit coins. We call them whales or dolphins and whatnot. So soon, once the price started declining, you would see the whales start giving votes to contents that are not necessarily good, but based on relationships and I would say nepotisms. This limited the success of the project in my view, and but it was definitely a good effort, and it inspired me and led us to develop a Publish model, whose motto is read and earn. So it started with some inspirations and some.
Yeah, Sunny, these are really, I would say, prevalent, challenges, not just in Web3, but like in overall media, right, industry. So then, can you kind of transition into, okay, how is Publish, exactly solving these problems?
Since 2000, things dramatically changed with the advent of internet and the booming digital advertising market. So newspapers, which was a huge entities back then, had lost huge chunks of audience to the search engines, the up and coming ad networks, social networks like Facebook, Google, and locally here into Naver, Kakao, that really produced no contents on its own, but became more of a content aggregators. To summarize, we have upgraded Steemit model, which was very successful, and decentralized the applications, driving users instead of a central way, but to each new websites with using a common blockchain. We provide tools that are necessary and plugins to independent news businesses to incentivize its existing users to revisit and participate for token rewards, and also to for news businesses to diversify their current revenue model to include NFT and cryptocurrencies aside from their existing advertising revenue.
So let's put this in the perspective of a consumer, okay? So I'm just an average person wanting to learn about Web3. I read the news every day. Right now, I read the news, okay, cool. After that, there really isn't much incentive for me to share it unless if I just, love it. But even if I share it, right, I don't earn any rewards after that. The social media company that I post on, they take advantage of me and do ad monetization or whatever. So with Publish, right, what would change in that sense after I read it?
So those newspapers that are in our alliance, we now have 55 and counting that has signed up for our CBT, closed beta test ecosystem. So for those guys that integrate our API or plugin, suddenly now their users, their readers, would read their news just on a normal day, and they'll sign up. It would trigger a widget pop up saying, "Do you want to earn tokens by reading?" So you would sign up, and if you sign up, then you start earning tokens. And if you share the news URL links to your social friends, then every time a friend of yours basically comes through the link or URL you sent, you get rewarded. Of course, there's a daily upper limit, so to limit spammers, but definitely you can earn now by reading the news, commenting on the news. But whatever you earned, you can also donate back to the journalist or the newspaper. Another thing that we are using blockchain for is DID, decentralized identifier. So instead of just social login, and that would actually expose your readers' information or data to the central system server, we use what's called DID, which you would encrypt all your information, just show you that you are you as a zero knowledge, and just starting any activity you use, any activity you do on the news will be encrypted, will be just you for your view only. Yeah, that's how we're bringing back sovereignty back to the readers and also back to the businesses, news businesses.
This is a great balance because the essence of Web3 identity is that you don't need to reveal your full self, but that doesn't limit you from securely interacting, right? Let's say I want to give a tip, right, to a journalist because I want to support them. So this is something that has been talked about, but I don't think any one person or company has like cracked the nut. So then, yeah, after this closed beta, right, what's next for Publish? Like what kind of new features or I would say value propositions do you want to deliver to your users?
After the CBT, it's hard to tell. My goal is to go to the finalize what we have in Korea, set up the good model, a sturdy, good model, copy that with every other countries because the language is different, except for English. So we need to have the local sort of consortium of newspapers, and so we're going to work with local newspaper associations to kind of prove the authority for each proven newspapers and work with them and set up a consortium there as a side chain beside our main net. And so that's our next our next goal is to see where this takes us. It's already taking us ahead of our goal already, so it's hard to tell at the moment.
What else do you think news readers, like myself, right, would want from Publish?
One of the things that we want to develop is gamification. So yeah, we want to add more gamification to our system, our model, so that it incentivizes users to be more active reading the news. On another part, everything that we do and publish is not just to get more readers, more users, but it is for us to create, incentivize this new ecosystem to create more good news. What I mean by good news is something that are good in good use, utility wise. News that are proactive, news that are useful for daily activities instead of some gossips and whatnot.
Yeah, and I can see that because in our channel, right, we talk a lot about play to earn, play and earn. However, like the big bottleneck right now is okay, you can earn, right, you can play, but it's too casual or like just the gamification is not there yet, right? There's a very inherent limit. So same thing with, well, in Publish's case, read to earn. I just hope that, yeah, there's an incentive, right? People will get in, but it doesn't get abused in a way where news is not good anymore. So it's very important to kind of keep that integrity and credibility.
That's right.
So how can the community get involved with Publish and really kind of get a feel of what we're talking about?
So at the moment, we are finalizing our CBT in Korea at the moment. So you gotta need a Korean mobile phone number to sign up with our DID system to get started to get reward. We are looking to expand this to globally in English in Q4 this year. So please come to our website, sign up to our newsletter, keep give us your email, and we'll keep you posted. Or you can follow us on Twitter or Medium. And where we make the announcement, and in Q3 you pretty much get the news from us that it's ready. And so we are currently working with some English newspapers as well, such as investing.com, which is a very large financial news site based in Israel. I believe they have almost 100 million users. Um, and so we are working with them. We're working with some Middle East newspapers, and we're talking to a few others. So once we give you out the list, then you can visit them, read them like you normally do, and start getting rewards in news tokens.
Yeah, so I think, just stay updated, right? And wait for it to come to your region, your home country. And then kind of zooming out, um, we like to ask everyone, right, that we interview on our channel, because a lot of people new to Web3, they're overly confused. There's too much information, and it's really hard to know where exactly they can get started. So if you're coming into Web3, right, and there's like a protocol you like, what's one advice that you would share with the average person?
So, yeah, I get that a lot of questions, especially when I'm making seminars and speaking in seminars. Um, so Web3 means there was Web2 and Web1 somewhere. So I start with saying Web1. What is Web1? Web1 is basically read. It's one directional. So someone posts content, especially in the newspaper industry. Someone pushes and writes a news, delivers the paper to your home door, and you read the news, and that's the end of it. Web 2 is basically two-way. So now you suddenly have internet site, you read the news and you start commenting, or you share the news on social media. So that's read and write, and you kind of communicate. So Web 3, it goes beyond that. Now you have from audience, you go to community, but I think it's beyond community now, because you turn from an audience to a community to an investor, because now suddenly you are buying up in an NFT of a content and selling it, and trading it. So Web3 is read, write, own. So I have those three. So Web1 is read, Web2 is read, write, Web3 is read, write, own. So you own now the contents in a digital asset called NFT.
Simple, I love it. See, these are the kind of explanations that we need more in the industry, right? Because a lot of people are like, Web3, what? What is that, Yeah, it's really interesting to kind of get into this topic, because media is not something that's, too exciting, because it's very conservative, right? But now that we see true innovation, now it's worth talking about. So that's great. All right, yeah, thank you for coming on the show, Sunny. I hope that we can talk again. Next time, more progress, right? Make sure you have 100 media partners, all lined up.
Well, thank you, Ricardo. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
One of the takeaways that stood out to me was how this, hundreds of years old, like very traditional, media industry is now using the latest Web3 technologies to kind of boost user engagement, let consumers be part of like the process of media, right? And even earn rewards from it. So it's very good to see that actually starting in action, locally in Korea, but expanding worldwide. And, people read news all the time, whether it's Web3 or not. And if you can be rewarded for doing what you've already do, hey, why not, right? So we're very excited to, see Publish expand and make an impact for more people around the world. So that's it for today's interview, guys. I hope you learned something. If you want to learn more, be sure to check out Publish and their website and join their community and ask questions. And also be sure to comment down below. What stood out to you, right? Do you like this read to earn concept? We like to know. See you next time.
Guys, for the latest news and updates,
be sure to follow our social media, including Twitter, Facebook, Telegram groups, and TikTok.
there you go. Follow us.
Links down below.